All right, boys and girls. Today's lesson is lesson 3-8. And today we're going to continue talking about time, and we're going to talk about elapsed time. That means how much time has passed. So the last couple of lessons has been about time after the hour and time before the hour. So I have a little interactive clock here. The big hand represents the minutes. The little hand represents the hours. Okay, so if I have this time right here, hopefully you understand, looking at the small hand is pointing to the 2, so that'd be 10. So this is 10 minutes after the hour. The hour is 3 o'clock, so this would be 10 minutes after 3. Okay? Because we're on the 3 and we're slowly going to work our way towards the 4. So that big hand, that short hand is going to slowly work its way to the 4 as the big hand comes all the way back around to the 12. Okay? And once that big hand gets to 12, the small hand will be on the 4. So the time I showed you a second ago was 10 after 3 or 50 minutes to 4. Okay, so those are the two ways that you'll say that. Hopefully you understand from the first couple lessons that every digit that you see on a clock represents 5 minutes. So 1 would be 5, 2 would be 10, 3 would be 15, all the way up to 12, which is 60, and there's 60 minutes in an hour. So after 60 minutes, you start over 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. So it doesn't go to 61 minutes, it doesn't go to 7, it doesn't go to 80, it goes to 60. That's why it's kind of hard to do math when it comes to telling time, because a lot of people think of 100, and they think of thousands, and they think everything rolls over and maybe changes after 10. But here we go to 60, and then it starts over. So it's a little bit different. So let's turn to the first page. I'm going to try to keep this clock nearby. I know I have a tendency to let things bury and then never see them again, so I don't want to lose it. So the elapsed time. Okay, elapsed time means the time that has passed. Okay, that means how much time has it been. Like when you come to school, and say we start school at 8 and you go home at 4, which I know I'm not exact right now. The elapsed time would be 8 hours, because 8 to 12 is 4, and 12 to 4 is 4. So you add those up, you get 8 hours. So that's the elapsed time. That's how much time has passed. If you go to a movie starts at 2 o'clock and it gets done at 4. The elapsed time would be 2 hours. Okay, so looking at the first page here in 185, the start time was 4 p.m. and the end time is 7 p.m. So the elapsed time there, I'll show you on here, it was 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. So 4 p.m., 5, 6, 7. So I don't need to change the big hand there because I kind of skipped over a spot there. But the elapsed time would be 3 hours. Okay? So it would be 3 hours. That's the elapsed time. Okay? And another way you could do it is you could just take the later time, because they're both in PM. If it's AM on one and PM on the other, yeah, you might have to do a little bit of a different kind of work here. But because they're both PM, you could start with the bigger time and then subtract the smaller time. It gives you 3 hours here. Okay, the next one, 7:45, is when it started and ended at 8:15. So I'm going to shrink this down. So it started at 7:45, ended at 8:15. So it started at, see, I'm going to struggle with this, so just bear with me. Started at 7:45, and I know to put that small hand in between the 7 and 8 because 7:45 is creeping up on 8. Okay, so we're going to count. I'm going to try to count this as we go. We have 15 minutes till it gets to 8 o'clock, and then it says 8:15. So really, you only moved it 30 minutes. Okay, so hopefully you can add up and know that 7:45, 15 minutes to 8, then 15 minutes after 8, add that together, you have 30 minutes. So let me put that in there for you. 30 minutes. I don't want to do all these with you, so it'll take a while. But 2:17 p.m. to 7:15. 7:17 p.m. Sorry, 7:17 p.m. Okay, well, this might be one you can just do in your head. Just count up. 2:17 to 3:17 is 1. To 4:17 is 2. To 5:17 is 3. To 6:17 is 4. To 7:17 is 5 hours. Okay, because it's the same minutes after the hour, it's pretty simple. You just have to do your simple math because you're working with just a whole number. So 5 hours. Next one, you start at 11 a.m. and you end at 2 p.m. So here's one you really couldn't just subtract, because you start in the a.m. and you end in the p.m. But you should be able to count up. Excuse me. You should be able to count up. If you have 11 a.m., 1 hour will give you 12 p.m. Okay? 2 hours will give you 1 p.m. 3 hours will give you 2 p.m. So it would be 3 hours of elapsed time. Next was 11:55 to 4:25. Okay, so here's my trick here. Okay, because some of you are I know most of you will be an hour off here. And I'm going to show you on the clock what's really important here. You go into from 11:55. I'm putting the big hand at 55, and it's also 11:55, so the small hand is going to be pointing almost to the 12, because 11:55 is pretty close to 12. This is what I want to do. Okay, I want to get my 55 over to the 25. Okay, so 55 to 25 is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes. Okay, so that got me to to 25. So I know my answer is going to be something and 30 minutes. Okay, so now I'm going to move my big hand. Okay, so I went from almost 12 to, let me hold on to it. There we go. So it went from 11:55 to 12:55, 1:55, 2:55, 3:55, 4:55, and then 4:25. I said that completely backwards. Let me start all that over because that made no sense what I just said. Okay, I've already moved my. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble with this thing. All right. All right. I've already moved it. It took me 30 minutes to get to the 25. So I took care of the 25. Now, how many hours will it take me to get to the 4? That's what I really need to be showing you. 4, you went from 11 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. So 5 hours would not be right because that'd be one too many because I already took care of the half hour. So if I added a half hour on, okay, I apologize. I see what I'm doing wrong here. Okay. I already moved my big hand from the 55 to the 25. So what I did is I also changed the time with the overall time from 11:55 to 12:25 because I changed it by adding that 30 minutes to it. Now I have to get my big hand to the 4. So if I have my big hand going to the 4, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 hours and 30 minutes. Okay, so 4 hours and 30 minutes. See, what I did is I changed the time 30 minutes ahead so that I would even out the 25 because I had 11:55 and I turned it to 12:25 by moving my small hand or the big hand 30 minutes to get to a 25 to make it easier to work with. So I changed the time altogether by adding 30 minutes to it. Okay, and then all I had to do was deal with the hours. So my 11:55 by adding 30 minutes turned to 12:25, and then I just do the hours. That's 4 hours onto that. So 4 hours and 30 minutes. And I know I probably just totally made that more confusing than what it really was, but that's the most important thing when it comes to time is you have to figure out how to round up, count up, and make it something you can work with. So 4 hours and 30 minutes. Okay, next section you're going to find the end time. So basically, if it's 1 p.m. and it took 2 hours, you're going to be looking at 3 p.m. Okay? So 3 p.m. This will probably be a little bit easier for you. If it's 4:15 a.m. and you went 4 hours, it's 4:15, 5:15, 6:15, 7:15, 8:15. 8:15 a.m. still. If it's 4:55 and you just added 18 minutes, well, 5 minutes will get you to 5, and it leaves you with 13 minutes left over, so it'll be 5:13, and that's p.m. Okay, so I want you to work on the next two when we're done. I want to show you quickly here to find the start time, because this is when you kind of have to go backwards. Okay, something that took 3 hours and it ended at 4:15, so you have to go back 3 hours. So the start time must have been 1:15 p.m. Something that ended at 2:45 but only lasted 15 minutes, you go back 15 minutes, so that's 2 hours. I'm sorry, not 2 hours. It's 2 o'clock and 15 minutes, so 2:15 p.m. And then I want you to work on the other two on your own. Don't be confused with when it's written 2 hours and 35 minutes. Just go back. You're just going back. Okay, go back the minutes first, and then you go back the hours next. Okay, just like you subtract anything, you go from right to left. All right. So the next page of story problems. We'll try to tackle this in a small group. Actually, because we're out of time, we're gonna have to tackle a small group. So I kind of used half our time messing with this clock because what I thought was a great idea really was more of a pain than it was help. But hopefully you're able to understand with the clock moving. That's definitely not the best way I could do it. So, anyways, we'll work on the workbook pages in a small group.